Hi guys, my husband and I just got home from a weekend in Biltmore in Asheville, North Carolina. And first of all, it was amazing. Secondly, I wanted to pop on here so that we could kind of have a chit chat of all of the things that happened. So I already posted a vlog where I showed you all the things that we did, but I wanted to have more of an in-depth talk about things like what food to eat and the tours and what I thought about them and what I thought about the hotel and just all of those things so that if you have any questions, then hopefully I'll answer them. And if you've never heard of Biltmore and you have no desire to go here, but you're just, you know, curious because you like this kind of content, that's fine too. So we're gonna talk through the hotel. We'll talk about restaurants, we'll talk about excursions, and we'll talk about shopping and just kind of like overall thoughts. Now, first of all, if you're like, I don't even know what Biltmore is. Biltmore is an estate in Asheville, North Carolina that was built by one of the Vanderbilt children, not Cornelius, not the original Vanderbilt, but one of his descendants, and it was like this ginormous estate, and it included a ginormous house on it, which I think is pretty close to a castle, although I've never seen a real castle, so I don't know. And so they lived in it, and years later, a couple generations later, they have turned it into almost like a resort. So you can go and tour the house, you can stay on the grounds, they have hotels, they have like a little village with shops and all that kind of stuff. They have a winery, they have all these different things that you can go and explore and enjoy, and it's all on property and just really great. Biltmore is known for the house, obviously, and also for the gardens. Now, we went in February, so not a lot of garden stuff happening, but it was beautiful anyway and just absolutely great. I've heard their prime seasons are more like spring, summer when everything's in full bloom, and I've also heard they're great in the fall when like all the leaves turn colors because it's up in the mountains and all pretty. We had never been there before, so we were totally happy with February. Even though nothing was in bloom, it was still gorgeous. It was still so much fun and just a really great time. So with that said, let's talk about the hotel. So we stayed at the inn. There's two hotels on the property, and then of course there's tons of hotels off property. And so one is the Antler Hill Village Hotel, or the Village Hotel. The other one is called the Inn at Biltmore. I think those are correct. I may be wrong. We stayed at the inn and it was absolutely gorgeous. I think it's the nicest hotel I've ever stayed in. It was beautiful. It was super nice, super clean, just like all over. Really great. As far as the room, we opted for a king bed and a mountain view, which was totally worth it because it was gorgeous. And so I did a little room tour, so I'll pop that in here. So here's a little tour of our room. When you walk in, there is a mirror and a little entryway. They gave us a free bottle of wine and chocolate as like our special little promo. There is a closet that has an automatic light, which fascinated me, not gonna lie. And then that had, you know, stuff for ironing and things to put your suitcase on, as well as a safe in there. Then when you go into like the main part of the room, there was a king bed because that's the one that we got. Nightstand on both sides. They had already turned down the bed, as you can see, so there was chocolate on the pillows. They had taken off that pillow that's down on the floor and then left water bottles and all of those things that we might need. I don't know who does their branding, but I am so impressed by it, not gonna lie. There's also a little armchair over on the side, which was super comfy. This whole dresser, which we didn't use because we were only there for about 2 days, and then a little table, which would be perfect if you needed to eat or work or anything like that. We mostly just put our stuff on it. And it was nighttime when I filmed this, so you couldn't see the beautiful mountain view, but you can see all the lights lit up from the village. The hotel experience was really great. They did a really good job. I mean, like, you know, just the whole 9 yards. As far as the rest of the hotel, there were quite a few amenities. The hotel has a restaurant called the Dining Room. It also has a lounge called the Library Lounge that's kind of like, you know, cocktails and snacky kind of things. And then it had 2 different shops. One of the shops was kind of like Biltmore-y, you know, kind of touristy stuff, and then the other was more like clothes and jewelry and that sort of thing. And then it also had a spa, although we did not visit the spa. Outside, it had a huge patio. We did not spend a lot of time out there because it was like 10 20s, 30s while we were there, like weather wise, but it was gorgeous. And they had like fire pits out there and really, really nice. They also had live music in the library lounge, and that was really fun. And they had like the fire going, and it was a really great time. So that's a little bit about the hotel and the hotel amenities if you're looking for that. And then of course they have like room service and all the normal hotel things. So as far as eating at Biltmore, I don't know about you, but for me, vacation is really about the food. Like, if we can eat well, I don't really care about anything else. So this was a big category for us. So I'm gonna talk through all the things that we ate and where we went and all of those things. So we tried quite a few different things in our weekend. It was really short. I mean, we got there Friday at like 7:30 and we left about 2 on Sunday. So it was not a lot of time, but we got some good eating in. On Friday night, after we got there, we got, you know, settled in, and then we went down to Cedric's Tavern, which is kind of like Irish cuisine. They had fish and chips, and they had non-Irish cuisine like burgers, and they had lots of that kind of stuff. My husband got their burger and he said it was absolutely amazing. I went a little crazy because the waitress said that the special for the night was steak and scallops, and I was like, yes, that's gonna happen. So I had tomato basil soup, which was also special, and the scallops and steak, which were delicious. And then we split a peanut butter bar, which was absolutely phenomenal as well. It was wonderful. We were there about 8 or 8:30 and the place was dead. Now again, it is the off season, so I don't know what, you know, normally the village also closed really early, so there is that to take into account. But it was not very busy at all. It was really nice little atmosphere. Cedric is the Vanderbilt family's dog, and so they had like pictures of the dog everywhere, and it was just really cute. On Saturday for breakfast, we went to the dining room in our hotel. So for breakfast, it is a buffet style, although it's still really fancy, you know, like white tablecloths and all that jazz. And so we went and had their, you know, all you can eat breakfast. It was so good. They had quite a few different options. I tried quite a few different things. So they had like peach crepes, and they had muffins, and they had like the like salmon, the like, I don't know, like salmon slices, whatever you call that. Clearly I'm not fancy enough for all of this stuff. They had biscuits and gravy, which were delightful, and they had Southwest eggs. My husband said those were really great. I personally really enjoyed the biscuits and gravy, which, if you're not familiar, is a very southern thing that I absolutely adore because it's so good. You can try it. It's like sausage gravy and biscuits. So good. The bacon was amazing. I don't know what they did to it, but it was so good. And then they had parfaits like in little mason jars, and I don't know what was in them, but they were so good. Everything else I tried was also really yummy, but those were the 3 that like really stood out to me and I was very impressed with. I also liked that you could continue to, you know, go back and get more. I only had 1 plate because I didn't want to be like, you know, super full, because I knew we were going to go walking around and everything, but it was still quite a bit of food. Because we ate quite a bit of food, we did not end up eating actual lunch. So then later on that day, we ended up at the library lounge in like the evening, and we got some snacky food to share. So we got like a hummus plate, and then we got, oh my gosh, so good. It was like chocolate peppermint cheesecake dip, and then they gave you like waffle pieces and fruit and pretzels and all these different things to dip in it, and it was so good, absolutely amazing, and yeah, would highly recommend. They also had live music while we were there. The first night there was a pianist, and then the second night when we went and ate there for a little while, they had a like jazz trio that was really nice. They played one of my favorite songs, which was always really fun. And it was just a really fun atmosphere. I really enjoyed it. It is mostly snacky food, so think more, you know, like shareables and appetizers and that kind of stuff. But there was also some things, like I think they had a burger and a wrap and a couple things like that on the menu if you were looking to eat more of a dinner. After that, we went to the dining room for dinner. This was like our big dinner we were really excited about because it was super fancy. I think it's like 4-star restaurant, and it did not disappoint. It was so good. My husband got the steak, which he said was absolutely amazing. I got the lobster bisque. Yes, I got the lobster bisque, and then I had scallops because apparently I'm really into scallops. all of a sudden. I don't know what came over me this trip, but I was just like, I'm gonna eat all the scallops. It's not even like a seafood, you know, area, but it was so good, absolutely amazing. And then for dessert, we split it was called like vanilla cheesecake, but it had like peppermint bark and chocolate and like coffee ice cream, and just, oh, it was delightful, absolutely delicious. Would highly recommend. I would highly recommend everything we ate, but it was great. On Sunday, we did just like the grab and go breakfast. So outside of the library lounge, they have just like things, you know, like bagels and yogurt and that kind of stuff that you can purchase. So I just got a bagel and a yogurt and a coffee and hung out. My husband went skeet shooting, which we'll talk about more in a minute. And then for lunch, we went to the Stable Cafe, which is next to the actual house. And that was all, it was, I feel like a broken record. It was all amazing. It was so good. We both got the barbecue bacon cheeseburger and it was delightful. And we got the pimento cheese dip, which is also a super southern thing. If you've never had it, it's so good. I don't know how to describe it. You just gotta try it, and trust me, it's so good. But they did it warm, which I've never had it warm before. It's usually served cold. And it was so much better, I must say. I don't know why we don't always eat it warm. And then we were also able to dip our fries into it, which was also a lot of fun. As far as what I'm calling excursions, like things to do, there's a ton of stuff that you can do on the property. They have, first of all, like just free, they have tons of hiking trails and stuff like that, but they also have a ton of activities that you can do while you're there. So we did a few things. We didn't do a ton because we didn't want to be like, you know, overworked. The first thing we did is on Saturday, we went to the Van Gogh exhibit. They have it was called like the Amherst Center or something like that. Amherst Theater. I don't know. They have a building that is separate that they host like events in, I believe. That's what it seems like. And so they had the Van Gogh live exhibit set up. If you've never seen it, it's amazing. It's like projections of Van Gogh's paintings, but they'll set it to music and they all have like themes. So they'll show like different ones at different times, and they have quotes from his different letters that kind of explain things in more detail. And they also like animate some of the paintings sometimes, which makes it like extra really cool. It's a whole experience. I would highly recommend it. It was super cool. I'm also, fun fact, like obsessed with Van Gogh in general, all the Impressionists, but I have a special place in my heart for Mr. Van Gogh. So that was a really great time. It was really fun. I really enjoyed it. It's not just playing there. They have it at different places. Like I knew it was in Atlanta and I wanted to go, and it was in Atlanta and I didn't go. And so I was very excited to see it this time. They're also switching it out. So I think Monet is coming very soon, and then Leonardo da Vinci is supposed to be there later on this year. So those would also interest me, especially Monet. And so there's that. After that, we headed over to the house. So the house, like the Biltmore house, is a humongous, like basically castle that was built in the 1880s, 1890s. It took quite a few years, so around that area, and it is fascinating. Just the grandeur of it. We live, you know, in the US, we don't have a lot of that kind of stuff, like giant houses and, you know, all of those things that maybe like if you're in Europe, you might be a little more used to seeing a castle every now and then, but I am not. So it was like the biggest house I've ever seen. It was absolutely gorgeous, and we did the audio tour. So the audio tour is really simple. I think it's like the main one. They give you like a audio device. It looks kind of like an old school like house phone, and you go through and there's different plaques around, and so it will have like a number, and so it'll say like library 7, and so when you get to library, it's a 7. You click on 7 and you hold it up to your ear, and it will like give you what basically the tour guide would have done. But I thought it was really clever, I'm not gonna lie, just to be able to, you know, get that many people in. The house is humongous and absolutely incredible, and had so many interesting facts in it, and I really want to take the library home, I'm not gonna lie. It was amazing. It was 2 stories. Like every library should be 2 stories. I need a 2-story library. The other thing we did on Saturday is we went to a wine tasting. So they have a winery at Biltmore, and they have complimentary tastings. So they are free, but you have to make a reservation because it does fill up. So I had made a reservation early in the day, and so we went, and they let you try like 5 different wines, and they have like a whole list that you can choose from. I know nothing about wine. I don't drink wine very often. It's, you know, like a once, twice a year thing. So it wasn't, you know, something I'm super into. So I have no idea if it was like good or bad or anything, but you know, I drank it, it was fine. But it was really interesting, and the lady was very knowledgeable about her stuff and was able to tell us all sorts of things. We also walked around the village and just kind of checked out the different shops. And there's also a little museum in there, so we went in there and walked around that, and it had like some of the clothes from the Vanderbilt family and just more information and all sorts of interesting things. On Sunday, my husband went skeet shooting. I did not go, but he went and did the skeet shooting class because he's never done that before, and he had an amazing time. It was like 2 full hours, and so you went and you like met up in the village, and they took you in, or took him, they took him in an expedition, he said, out to wherever the skeet shooting course was. I was not there, clearly, and the instructor taught him how to do it. The instructor said that typically they have like 1 instructor per 2 people, but since he went and I did not, no one else had signed up, so he ended up being the only person, which he just thought was, you know, really great, because then you can ask all the questions, which is exciting. But it's a very, very small group that you work on this with. You can rent all of your equipment, which he did. We didn't have any of that kind of stuff, and he had an absolutely great time. He said it was so much fun, and he already wants to like go back and do it again. I would also say that if you are, you know, if that's like a thing that you are interested in, they have a beginner's course and they have an advanced course. Do the beginner course because there's not a huge difference between the beginner and the advanced, and frankly, anybody who is they're teaching you is going to teach you at your level. So even if you are more advanced, it might be a good idea to just do the beginner and save a little bit of money. After that, we went and ate, and then we went on our second tour, which was the back stairs tour. So this was a guided tour with an actual tour guide, and it was so interesting. It's based all on the backstairs, or like the servants, and so she told us all about just like what a servant's life would be like and how they ran the estate, because us nerdy people were very curious about this. So we went like all in the servants' corridors, and we went, you know, down the servants' stairs and saw their rooms, and we saw, you know, backstairs in the kitchen and the butler's pantry and all these different things. It was really cool. We went into like Mrs. Vanderbilt's closet, which was a whole thing, and the guide was really knowledgeable, was able to tell us a lot of really interesting information. Because it was the off season, we ended up being the only ones on the tour, so that was also really great. And so it was almost like a private tour. I mean, it was a private tour for the 2 of us, but it wasn't like intending to be. It was really interesting that way because we got to ask all of the questions, and we had many a question. If you are going to do this, I would say definitely do the regular tour first, because that gives you a more like a base of knowledge, so that going into this I already knew, you know, like, oh, that's where this room is, that's where this room is, and you know, just knew a little bit more stuff. But super fascinating, super interesting. I don't know, I mean, well, it's super interesting and fascinating if you're nerdy like I am, so there you go. Next time I would love to do, they do have private tours like with a tour guide, and so I think I might just see if we can do that next time we go, because I would love to do that and get a little more information. But the audio tour give you like a good bit of knowledge, and if you're less nerdy and curious than I am, then you probably would be good with that. All right, friends, that is our whole Biltmore weekend. On the whole, it was amazing. It was clearly you can tell it was so great. One of the best vacations that we have, probably the best, honestly, vacation that we've ever been on. It was just really nice. It was a good mixture of relaxing and interesting. There was enough stuff to do that you like wanted to do things. I love not having to like leave the area, you know, when you go like to a new city and you don't know where anything is and you have to like figure everything out. That can be really stressful. So it was nice just having like everything kind of enclosed so that it was a little bit less stressful. We ate a ton of good food, had like plenty of time to just kind of relax, and there was plenty of spaces to just relax because there's tons of outdoor space, indoor space, the library lounge, you know, your room, and so there's plenty of space to just, you know, have a nice nice weekend. One other thing I thought was interesting is quite a few people that were at the hotel I overheard saying that they had like Biltmore season passes and they just come like randomly for a weekend. And I thought that that was really, you know, like a vote of confidence. Like if these random people are just coming for the weekend because they feel like it, just, you know, one of them said they lived like an hour away and it was snowing, and so they're like, let's get out of the snow, let's go to Biltmore, and they just like called and made a reservation and went on down and stayed the night. So it just, yeah, overall it was a really great experience. I would highly recommend you check it out. I would love to check it out when the gardens are in view, so we might go and check it out maybe later on this year. If you have been to Biltmore, I would love to know your experience, your suggestions, things that you would suggest. Is there a best time of year to go? Let me know those things all down in the comments so that I will, you know what to do next time, because we got in the car and we're like, all right, when are we coming back? If you thought this video was interesting, I do have a vlog all about Biltmore, and I'm also talking all about outfits for Biltmore, so you can go check those out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.